Elasticity is the property of material which enables it to Elasticity is the property of material which enables it to regain its original shape after deformation when the external forces are removed. The property of material which enables is to drawn into wires with the application tensile force is called ductility. Which of the following material has the maximum ductility? Mild steel. The plasticity is the property of material which enables it to retain deformation produced under load permanently. The property of material which enables it to resist fracture due to high impact loads is called roughness. True. Which of the following property is desirable in parts subjected to shock and impact load? Toughness. A special case of ductility which permits materials to roll or hammer into thin sheet is the malleability. The toughness of material when it is heated decreases. Which of the following property is essentially spring material? Resiliency. The malleable material should be plastic but not essentially to the strong. Agree. The material commonly used for machine tool bodies is cast iron. When carbon in the cast iron is principally in the form of graphite, its cast iron will be of dash grey color. When a carbon in the cast iron is the form of cementate, the cast iron will be of white color. Correct. According to Indian standard specification, a grey cast iron designated by FZ200 means that the dash minimum tensile strength is 200 Newton per millimeter square. The material commonly used for crane hooks is dash wrought iron. A steel containing up to 0.15% carbon is known as dead mild steel. According to Indian standard specifications, a plant carbon steel designed by 40C8 non-contained carbon is 0.35 to 0.45%. The shock resistance of steel is increased by adding nickel and chromium. The steel widely used for motor car crankshaft is chrome steel. The ball bearings are usually made from medium carbon steel. 18 by 8 steel contains 18% chromium and 8% nickel. The metal suitable for bearing subjected to heavy loads is dash white metal. The metal suitable for bearing subjected to light loads is dash phosphor bronze. A steel containing 0.8% carbon is known as eclectoid steel. A steel containing 0.8% carbon is known as hypoeclectic steel is the less than. A steel containing more than 0.8% carbon is known as eclectoid steel this is the no. For hardening alloy steel and high speed steel they are heated 1100 degrees to 1300 degrees. In order to remove internal stress produced by hardening steel, the process of adapted is tempering. The process of which improves the machinability of steel but lower the hardness and tensile strength is dash spheroidizing. The temperature required for full annealing in hyperactive steel is 50 degrees above upper critical temperature. When percentage of carbon in a steel increases, ductility steel decreases. Right. The material generally used for aircraft components is dash aluminium. Gears are casted by permanent mode casting. The temperature at which new grains are formed in the metal is known as recrystallization temperature. The working of metals above recrystallization temperature is also known as hot working. True. When a metal or alloy is cold worked, it is worked below room temperature, its hardness and strength increases. During hot working of metals, this is the all of the above. The cold working metals is carried out dash recrystallization temperature below. The process extensively used for making bolts and nuts is dash cold heading. The difference between the upper limit and lower limit is a dimension is called a tolerance. Algebraic difference between the maximum limit and the basic size is called as upper deviation. The lower deviation is the algebraic difference between the dash minimum limit and basic size. The algebraic difference between the actual size and the corresponding basic size is called as actual deviation is agree. In unilateral system of tolerance, the tolerance is allowed on dash one side of nominal size. A basic shaft is one whose upper deviation is 0. A basic hole is one whose lower deviation is 0. Shaft is the upper deviation, hole is the lower deviation. According to Indian standard specification 100 H6 by G5 means that the Basic size is 100 mm. According to Indian standards, total number of tolerance gates are 18. According to Indian standards, total number of fundamental deviations are dash 25. According to IT1 standard tolerance unit is microns is equal to 0.8 plus 0.020 D. According to IT5 standard tolerance unit equal to 0.433 root of D plus 0.001 D. According to Indian standard specification, 100 H6 by G5 means the tolerance grade for the whole 6 and the shaft is 5. The modulus of elasticity for myoelasticity is approximately equal to dash 210 kN per meter square. When a hole diameter D punched in a metal of thickness T, then the force required to punch a hole is equal to pi d T mu. The ratio of ultimate stress to the design stress is known as factor of safety. An aluminum member is designed on the basis of yield stress. A localized compressive stress at the area contact between two members is known as bearing stress. The constant factor in case of R10 series of preferred number is 1.26. A material stressed with an elastic limit and linear strain is doubled as compared to lateral strain. The ratio is bulk modulus, Young's modulus will be equal to 1. Incorrect. In the above questions, the ratio of modulus of Young's modulus will be at 0.33. The stress in the bar when the load is applied suddenly compared to the stress induced due to gradually applied loads doubled. When a load W applies suddenly on a bar cross-sectional area, a stress is induced with the bar will be 2W by A. The shear modulus of resistance is proportional to shear stress square. An elastic bar is fixed at the upper and loaded at the lower end by falling weight. The shock load produced can be reduced by all of the above. When a load W is suddenly applied to the bar weight W, stress induced in the bar will be increases with the increase in weight W1. This is the wrong. When a machine member is subject to torsion, the torsion shear stress set up in the member is maximum at both the centroidal axis and the outer surface of the member. The bearing stress is curved beam is 0 at the point on the centroidal axis. The maximum bending stress in the curved beam having a symmetrical section. Symmetrical section always occurs at inside fiber. Two shaft A and B under pure torsion or identical length is identical weight and made of the same material. The shaft A solid, the shaft B hollow. You can say that the shaft B is better than the shaft A. According to Rankine's theory, failures occurs at a point in a member when the maximum principal stress biaxial stress when the stretches the elastic limit of the material in a simple tension test. Rankine's theory used for brittle material. According to gas theory, the failures occurs point in a member the maximum shear stress by axial stress system reaches the shear stress in that elastic limit. In simple tension test is it true. Gas theory is used for ductile material. When beam a rectangular cross-section width B, depth D subjected to shear force B, maximum shear stress induced will be 3F by 2VH. When circular beam of diameter D subjected to shear force F, the maximum shear stress induced will be dash 16F by 3 pi D square. The shear stress in a beam varies from 0 at the outer fiber, maximum at the neutral surface is S. The stress which vary from minimum value of maximum value of the same nature is called as fluctuating stress. The endurance or fatigue limit is defined as the maximum value of the stress which polished standard specimen can withstand without failure infinite number of cycles when subjected to completely reversed load. Failure of material is called a fatigue when it fails below the yield point. The resistance of fatigue of material measured by endurance limit. The yield point static loading is a compared fatigue loading is higher. Factor of safety for fatigue loading is the ratio of endurance limit to the working stress. When a material is subjected to fatigue loading, the ratio of the endurance limit to the ultimate tensile strength is 0.50. The ratio of endurance limit in the shear endurance limit in the flexor is 0.55. The endurance limit for a mirror polished material will be as compared to unpolished is more. If the size of standard specimen for a fatigue testing machine is increased, the endurance limit for the material will be decreases. The surface finish factor for a mirror polished material is dash 1. A fatigue limit of material is greatly decreased by poor surface condition. Agree. Stress concentration is caused due to abrupt change of cross section. Stress concentration factor is defined as the ratio of maximum stress to the nominal stress. The value of stress concentration factor depends upon the material and geometry of the pod. In static loading, stress concentration is more serious in brittle material. In cyclic loading, stress concentration is more serious in ductile material. A plate with an elliptical hole in center, semi-major perpendicular direction loading and semi-minor axis along load is subjected to pull. The maximum stress induced at the edge of the hole is equal to sigma of 1 plus 2a by b. In the above equation, semi-major axis twice the semi-minor axis, the maximum stress induced at the edge of hole will be the nominal stress is 5 times. The quotient 94. Semi-major axis of semi-minor axis, the maximum stress induced at the edge of the hole will be double of the nominal stress. A plate circular hole in the center subject to pull P, maximum stress induced in the edge of holes 3 times of the nominal stress is correct. The fatigue stress concentration factor defined as the ratio of endurance limit without stress concentration to endurance with stress concentration. The notch sensitivity Q is expressed in terms of fatigue stress concentration factor KT, theoretical stress concentration factor Kf minus 1 by Kt minus 1. The design calculation for member subject to fluctuating with the same factor yield the most conservative estimate when using the Goodman relation. Soderberg relation is based on the material, whereas the other failures of relation, dynamic loading, are based on ultimate strength of the material is yield strength. Which of the following statement is correct? The stress concentration of static loading more serious in the brittle material and the serious ductile material. A pressure vessel set the thin shell, the ratio of wall thickness is diameter is equal to 1 by 10 is no. The pressure vessel set to thick shell, the ratio of wall thickness its diameter is greater than 1 by 10. In case of pressure vessels having open ends, the fluid pressure induces circumferential stress. In case of pressure vessels having closed ends, the fluid pressure induces none of this above. In order to determine the stress in the thin cylinder due to the internal pressure is assumed to all of the above. The ratio of circumferential stress and longitudinal stress in thin cylindrical internal pressure is therefore 2. The ratio of circumferential stress, longitudinal stress in thin cylindrical subject to internal pressure is 2. The longitudinal stress is of circumferential stress is 1 of. The design of the pressure vessel is based on hoop stress. The circumferential and longitudinal strains in a cylindrical boiler under internal steam pressure EC and EL respectively. The change in volume of the boiler cylinder per unit value will be 2 EC plus EL. A thin spherical shell of internal diameter D subjected to an internal pressure P. If V is storage capacity of shell, then the diameter will be 6V by pi 1 by 3. A thin spherical shell of internal diameter D subject to internal pressure P. If sigma T is the tensile stress for shell material, thin thickness of shell equal to PD by 4 sigma T. When a cylinder is subjected to very high internal fluid pressure, the thin cylindrical should be used as wrong. In case of thick cylinders, the tangential stress across the thickness of cylinder is maximum at the inner surface and minimum at the outer surface. The radial stress across the thickness of thick cylinder is maximum at the inner surface and 0 at the outer surface is true. In designing thick cylinders, the equation used is all of this. Auto frittage is the method of pressurizing thick cylinders. According to Lamy's equation, the thickness of cylinder is equal to d by 2 sigma t plus p by sigma t minus p minus 1. According to Clavarino equation, the thickness of cylinder is equal to d by 2 sigma t plus 1 minus 2 mu p or sigma t minus 1 plus mu into p minus 1. Cast iron pipes are mainly used in water and sewage system. The pipe joint mostly used for pipe carrying water at low pressure is socket joint. The expansion joint is mostly used for pipes which carry steam at pressure is the high. The spigot and socket joint is mostly used for pipes which are buried in the earth. Agree. A flanger pipe joint will be leak-proof joint if the circumference pitch of the bolts is between 20 root D and 30 root D. A rivet specified by shank diameter. A rivet joint is a fastening permanent. When plates are fastened by rivets, holes made up remain incorrect. The diameter of rivets holes is usually the nominal diameter of the rivet is more than. According to Unwin's formula, the relation between the diameter rivet hole and the thickness of plate is given by D is equal 6 root T. The rivet head used into boiler plate riveting is usually snap head. The edge of the boiler plates are beveled to an angle is 80 degrees. The center to center distance between two consecutive rivet sheet row is called pitch. The objective of caulking is riveted joint is make to the joint is leak proof. In order to avoid tearing of the plate at an edge distance from the center line of rivet hole to the nearest edge of the plate should be equal to 1.5 D. A lap joint is always in a single shear. Yes. A single strap butt joint is always in shear single. A double strap butt joint is equal to strap always in double shear. A tearing resistance required to tear off the plate per pitch length is a P minus D T sigma T. Crushing resistance required to crush the rivet per pitch length is the NDT sigma C. According to IBR, shearing resistance required to shear off the rivets with the pitch length is the double shear 1.875 into pi by 4 d square into tau n. The number of rivets in shear shall be equal to the number of rivets crushing is right. The strength of riveted joints is equal to least value of PT, PS, PEC. The strength of the unriveted plate, the pitch length is equal to PT sigma T. The efficiency of riveted joint is equal to least of PS, PT, PS, PC by P. If the tearing efficiency of riveted joint is 50%, then the ratio of diameter of rivet the joint 0.50. According to IBR, the efficiency of double riveted butt joint with double overstraps of equal width should be 70 to 83%. According to IBR, efficiency of triple riveted butt joint with double straps unequal to with 5 rivets per pitch length should be dash 80 to 90%. A triple riveted butt joint, the double straps unequal with designed for a boiler shell pitch of the rivets in the row. Pitch the row zigzag riveting is proposed, which following statement is correct. There is 5 rivets per pitch length, out of which 4 are double shear and 1 in the single shear. The longitudinal joint in a boiler is used to get required diameter of the boiler. A circumferential joint is boiler used to get the required length of boiler is true. For longitudinal joint in boiler, the type of joint used butt joint in double cover plate. For circumferential joint in a boiler, the type of joint is used to lap joint with one ring overplying the other. According to IBR, when thickness of boiler shell greater than 8 mm, then the diameter of rivet hole obtained by none of the above. According to IBR, when the thickness of boiler shell less than 8 mm, then the diameter of the rivet hole obtained by equating shearing resistance to the crushing resistance of the rivets. According to Indian standard, the diameter of rivet hole is made larger than the basic size of rivets by 2 mm of rivet diameter from 39 mm to 48 mm. According to IBR, thickness in the boiler shell should be not less than 7 mm. According to IBR, the factor of safety of riveted joint should not be less than 4. Which of the following statement is wrong? According to IBR, the thickness of the butt strap shall not be less than 5 mm. According to IBR, the distance between the row rivets equal number of more than one row for lap joint, butt joint shall not be less than is the 2D. For unequal width of butt strap, the thickness butt straps are 0.75 T for wide strap on the inside, 0.625 T narrow strap on the outside. The transverse fillet weld joint of the size welded, the throat of weld is a root 2 times. The transverse fillet weld joints are designed for tensile strength. The parallel fillet weld joints are designed for compressive strength. Disagree. Which of the following welded joint designed to shear strength is a parallel fillet weld joint? A double fillet welded joint, parallel fillet length L subjected to tensile force P, assuming uniform stress distribution. The shear stress in the weld is given P by root 2 SL. ఈ విధంగా ఉంటే better because of weld tension, shear stress, weld tension greater than that of shear. In butt welded joint, size weld is the throat of weld is equal to the largest diameter of external internal screw thread is known as major diameter. The pitch diameter is the diameter on external internal a screw thread is effective. The major diameter of a screw thread also known as core root diameter no. The minor diameter of screw thread is also known as outside nominal diameter is wrong. The smallest diameter in external internal screw thread is known as minor diameter. In a nut bolt diameter at which radius bolt are incompletely touched within the its corresponding nut is called pitch diameter is correct. A screw is specified by major diameter. Which of the following statement is correct? All of this above. The included angle in the British Standard Whitworth thread is a 55%. The included angle of British equation thread is a 47.5. The included angle for the SM thread is 29 degrees. This is true. The railway carriage coupling have this is the buttress thread. The square threads are usually found in the feed mechanism of machine tools. The spindles in bench wise are usually provided with knuckle threads. No. The acume threads are usually found in screw cutting lathes. When screw threads are to use a situation where power is being transmitted direction only, the screw thread suitable for this will be buttress thread. The square thread is not strong V threads, but they offset frictional resistance motion than the Whitworth threads is correct. The buttress thread have low frictional resistance characteristic of the square threads and have the same strength of V thread is yes. A bolt has threads for the nut, one end is the head of to other end. A tap bolt has head of one end and other end is the tapped hole in the parts of the fast end. Which of the following has the threads at both ends stud? The mission screw are slotted for a screwdriver and generally used in net. The set screw are used to prevent relative motion between the two parts, right? The cap screw are similar to the bolts except they are small size and variety shapes of heads available. A looking device which bottom cylindrical portion increases received tip of the looking eccentric screw is called a ring nut. A jam nut is a locking device in which does a thinner nut tightened down over a thicker main nut is tightened against the thinner nut is losing. A castle nut is a locking device in which a slot cut with the center each of ways split pin through two slots. The nut hole is bolt, but the positive lock is obtained unless the pin shears. The number of slots in a 25 mm castle nut is 6. In a sawn nut, a slot is cut about half away through nuts and small screw tightened between the nut and bolt. Order produce more friction is agree. The diameter of washer is generally taken bigger than the nut size is true. The washer is generally specified by hole diameter. The function of washer is to provide bearing area. A locking device extensively used in automobile industry is a castle nut.